Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to continue looking at what are the functionality paths for a D&D narrative. So, if you have a solid Dungeons and Dragons table, a real table, right, a dungeon master and five dragon masters, and you guys are using the math rocks, and you are telling a narrative, a powerful, meaningful story that is forged for purpose, and you guys take this serious, right? You get together on every Sunday night and you throw down, right? Like you are bringing honor to Gary's legacy. What is the functionality path of that, right? So I've already discussed multiple, well, and we already know there's over like at least a half a dozen functionality paths for this. And what I want to talk about today is the Hollywood path. Now, what do I mean by this? Well, Dungeons and Dragons stories have very real value. Hundreds of it's Dungeons and Dragons stories are valued at the hundreds of millions of dollars by Hollywood. We already know this. It's not a debatable subject. We already know this because we have two examples. What are those examples? Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue, right? And then also Critical Role, specifically Vox Machina, right? That's sitting over there on Prime, and and the Vox Machina story has already produced hundreds of millions of dollars of profit for Matthew Mercer and for Matthew Mercer and for Jeff Bezos, right? Like, this is real, and it's been so profitable that they're bringing Mighty Nine to the table as well. And this is like very real. Like it is Dungeons and Dragons stories we already know are valued by Hollywood in the hundreds of millions. And that is a functionality path for your kitchen table Dungeons and Dragons game. And you're like, wait, what, Scott? Ain't no Hollywood executives showing up at my kitchen table saying, "Hey, give me your Dungeons and Dragons story." Not yet. So if you're Sarah and you get together with Amanda and Becca and Charlize and Deborah and Elizabeth, right, and you guys tell your story, okay, that has all the functionality paths that we've already discussed, which are extensive and considerable, right? But the reality is, there's a chance that is going to show up as a Hollywood script, either as a show or a movie. Now, why is that the case, right? Well, here's the thing. So you're playing Dungeons and Dragons. Gary Gygax built a filter for the most charismatic, confident, intelligent people in the world, right? So if you're playing Dungeons and Dragons and you look right and you look left, you're looking at somebody who's probably going to be, an astronaut, a CEO, a senator, a congressperson, president of America, or some cultural leader, some influencer, somebody who actually changes the world, right? Because Gary built this filter, and the people who are drawn to Dungeons and Dragons they have to. You cannot do Dungeons and Dragons without charisma, confidence, and intelligence, right? And so it's this incredible filter. Whereas, like, let's say your interest was American professional football, right? Look right, look left. Nobody there is going to accomplish anything, right? They're never going to change any lives or, do anything at scale, right? They could do something. I'm sure they'll make people in their family happy, maybe, but nothing at scale. Nothing that's going to they'll have individual successes. They're not going to have cultural successes. They're not going to have global successes, right? It's not, there's no filter. Actually, I think American professional football is kind of a filter for the opposite of Dungeons and Dragons. Like, people are, just going to, have individual successes, not cultural level successes or global level successes, right? And so so there's a good chance that somebody there is going to be in a position to talk to a Hollywood executive. Now, why? Because they're millionaires or billionaires, right? Or, and then here's the other one, right? I think Hollywood executives are going to be showing up at Dungeons and Dragons tables looking for stories, because our stories are so incredibly unique, right? And why are they unique? Well, the people who are sitting at the table, but beyond that, the biggest thing that Dungeons and Dragons stories has is there's no box checking, right? There's way less agenda and way less message. And the reason why is I know you have your cute little agenda, and I know you have your checkbox, and I know you want to make your message bigger than your story, but you can't, because both the dungeon master and the dragon master are interrupted by the fate rocks, right? By the math rocks, by the 6 math rocks, right? And this is not found in, and you could tell this isn't found, right? Shows and movies increasingly are being rejected by the public because they're not realistic. They don't have serendipitous things that happen. They don't have things that happen by chaos and order, right? The way our stories do. They are fundamentally, truly different, right? And the other thing is, they're created by 6 authors, right? Whereas Hollywood, they don't, and those 6 authors have a social contract to aid one another, right? And that social contract is built into Dungeons & Dragons. Dungeons & Dragons is the most powerful narrative engine that humanity has ever been given. And the stories that it creates are unique and highly valuable. And it's not debatable whether they're valuable. We already have multiple examples of Dungeons & Dragons stories that are worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Dungeons & Dragons functionality path, it is Hollywood script, Hollywood show, Hollywood movie. That's the functionality path, in my humble opinion. Every word you just heard was my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion, when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.